And whether you can or you can't do it, use this idea. It's that we're feeling that we don't want to feel. Like, if you think about it, situations suck, I get it. People can be horrible, I get it. You know, I'm not denying that. But a lot of the time, if you think about it, and we're feeling this thing that sucks to feel, I hate feeling whatever it is, right? When you're in that situation, you may not realize that you may despise the feeling that you're feeling more than the situation. You may hate the feeling more than whoever triggered that feeling. But we make it seem like someone else is the enemy and someone else is so wrong and the situation's horrible. And again, I proceeded and I'll support it again by saying people can be terrible. They can be horrible. What I'm trying to say is, look at this for a second. When we're in an emotional state, that feeling, we just want to get rid of that feeling. We want to do whatever we can to get rid of that feeling. We'll harm someone else. We'll harm ourselves. We'll do whatever it can. We'll run away from it. I'll go do something. I'm going to get out of here. I'm pissed off. I'm leaving. Okay? Well, what if you didn't... Here's the thing. What if you didn't feel that feeling, which people do. They suppress it. So I'm saying not to do that. Or they overdo it and they fight now. Oh, I'm going to do something I regret. I'm going to leave the situation. I'm not saying don't do that, because maybe that can be helpful. I don't know. But the reality is, what if you just felt it? And the reality also is, what if you hate that feeling more than you hate the situation? But we think we hate the situation. Not to say the situation's not bad, but if we try to use our mind for a second, try to just understand this, I'll try to relate this. I try to relate this. I'm just doing this on the fly, by the way, so hopefully I can make sense. You know, if you put an ice cube in your hand, the ice cube on its own isn't a terrible thing. Actually, it could be a very helpful thing, right? The ice cube can help. It's used for a purpose, right? And we put that ice cube in our hand. We feel that ice cube, and it can start to feel, uncomfortable. We start to feel cold. We start to be almost intolerant of the ice cube. But here's where I'd like to put put like a wall, or split this in half. The ice cube and what you're feeling are different. What we could start to realize is we could blame the ice cube for everything. It sucks, I hate it, I hate ice cubes are the worst. The ice cube didn't do anything. Your reaction to the ice cube is what's doing it all. I'm not saying don't have the reaction. Don't have that feeling. But what I am saying is, if you split that in half and say, okay, the ice cube is different, and my emotional state at that point is different, although they seem like the same thing because one's contributing to me feeling, so it seems like that ice cube's doing something when it is, but it isn't. What if you didn't feel cold? What if for some reason you weren't able to feel like that bothered you? So the ice cube wouldn't be a problem. But we make it a problem when we can feel it being a problem. So the idea is, if we look deeper at this, so forget about the ice cube for a second. Just put that idea of the ice cube to the side and think of the emotion. Think of how that feels, how uncomfortable that feels. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't feel uncomfortable. You should feel uncomfortable if that's your normal, natural reaction. I think most people would feel like that sucks. I don't want the ice cube to sit on my hand. I don't like the way it feels. And what happens is, if we felt that, okay, it's not the ice cube that's the problem anymore. Because the ice cube's out of the scene. Just feel that. Just feel what that would feel like without the ice cube in the scene. And it's hard to separate it because they belong together. One contributed to the other. But what I'm trying to say is, if we just focus on the feeling is very uncomfortable. It's not that the ice cube's uncomfortable. We have a hard time realizing that there's a separation here. There is, in all actuality, just an emotion that's existing. And of course it's existing because of the environment. The emotion wouldn't be there. But, nevertheless, the emotion is still there. We could say the emotion isn't there if the ice cube wasn't there. We could say that. But the emotion is what's uncomfortable. Is it not? We could say the ice cube's uncomfortable because it makes sense. But if we separate the ice cube just for a second and say, what's uncomfortable now? Feel how that ice cube felt. You could even do a test like this in your home and try to separate the idea that it's very uncomfortable to feel what's uncomfortable. It's very uncomfortable to feel those emotions. So in fact, what we are fighting against isn't necessarily the ice cube, it's those emotions. I'm going to throw the ice cube, I'm going to dry my hand off, I'm going to wipe it off really quick, I'm going to try to create warmth, I'm going to make my experience feel better. And we don't realize that it's actually the emotion that's extremely uncomfortable. We don't realize the difference.